I think the way we look at agriculture is just wrong. And I think that these systems, which are a lot policy driven, a lot of them are policy driven, who are they really benefiting? And why are they benefiting those people?
People who are benefiting from the way the food system is constructed is primarily the descendants of people who were colonizing or who were stealing that land and labor.
You really start to see what motivates a lot of influences in agriculture, and it really is big money. A lot of seeds are owned by 3 or 4 major companies. When you look at meat production, be it beef, pork, or chicken, you only have 2 or 3 big players in that.
Everything from the seed supply to fertilizers to petrochemicals, all the way to the healthcare system and pharmaceutical companies. They're all working in tandem.
These giant food companies have so much power and money.
What 3/4 of all beef go through 4 different packing plants or 4 different packers, basically. It's just crazy. Seems like it could very well be a monopoly.
As I've been telling everyone, like there is a major processing problem. I know it's a huge problem across the country.
And we really need a lot more processing infrastructure in Montana and from what I hear throughout the West.
We have a lack of processors in North Carolina. So oftentimes it's driving 2 hours at the minimum for processing.
I have to drive a total of 3 hours round trip.
When I have to drive 2 hours and wait 6 months,
which is more than 200 miles away.
4 hours away to get processed.
Their business model is totally wrapped around that giant commodity systems business model.
The problem with having very large scale, very concentrated processing and distribution infrastructure is that the incentives of that infrastructure or those business models that underpin that infrastructure are at odds with consumer.
And then the small grower doesn't benefit as much from this mega infrastructure.
You don't have the infrastructure like the processing plants that could value add goods on the reservation. It's all shipped off.
And we have nothing set up, no infrastructure set up to develop alternative markets.
The problems that they're trying to solve for really seem to come back toward this problem with large industrial agriculture.
So how do you break that cycle?
And if we could, get smaller farms back with more farmers and buy, your food more locally, it would just turn our economies and make rural America stronger.
That's an opportunity for economic development interstate.
I think we're a huge part of the solution. I just see small farms as having a huge role to play in future food production.
Let's give advantages to smaller scale operations, because I think those are the lifeblood of a more durable economy, of a more sustainable future.
I think there's room for reimaginings, and you can see places where people are trying to reimagine or reclaim what food hubs or larger communities of self-determination around food regionally.
If we look at what our national budget for agricultural subsidies goes towards, it's not much effort to reallocate some of that away from the commodities market towards regional food systems with a little bit of foresight.
A regenerative food system that exports regenerative food to the cities and gives people in the cities a way to combat climate change by their food selection, because the food is actually carbon sequestering food.
If regenerative agriculture is really if it's going to succeed, then it has to have its own system and infrastructure that supports that model.
Transportation, marketing, and processing and sales. Honestly, those 3 right there, I feel like are the biggest areas where policy could really help.
And I would love to see more processing opportunities for small and medium-sized producers.
I would like to see is just the ability for aggregation, because most producers are still small and would love to feed into a system and have a market for their product, but they just don't.
So we are looking at farm to institutions through some schools here in town.
More restaurant owners, more, it's a supermarket chains, wanting to buy more local food.
So I think on the customer side, just
reminding people that they can go and request these products in their local stores and restaurants and things.
Maybe more co-ops, maybe larger corporations wanting to buy local.
I want to see farmers working together in cooperatives more. We're not realizing our potential.
That, when it comes to soil health, we need the biggest tent possible, right?
Need people on all levels participating in the food system because it determines how we eat and how we treat the earth and how we treat each other.
It's the health of the land, the health of the animals, the health of the people that eat their food. And so if the pricing can start to reflect that and further incentivize people to support the local regenerative food system, I can't help but see how that will benefit everyone in the long run.